Jason short story, I stood there staring at the foreclosure notice on the kitchen table. My savings were gone, the rent was weeks late, and a cold dread settled deep in my stomach. For years I'd floated, chasing fleeting ideas, letting a deep-seated fear of failure paralyze me. I truly believed I wasn't cut out for anything real, stuck in a cycle of starting and stopping. Then one bleak morning, I made a tiny, non-negotiable rule: 1 hour. Every single day on one consistent skill. No excuses, no matter how small the progress felt. That tiny habit, built day by day, slowly gathered momentum. I developed a marketable skill, landed my first freelance client, and started to rebuild my life. The shame lifted, I realized consistency truly compounds. You have that same quiet power. It starts with one small, non-negotiable commitment. Today, choose one small step. Dedicate 15 minutes to learning a new skill, or organize one messy drawer. Full story, my world imploded the day the eviction notice arrived. Not just an overdue bill, but a cold, stark official paper taped to my door. I knew then I couldn't keep running from my own life, not anymore. /n/n, I was that kid who always had a great idea. In my early 20s, I cycled through jobs, convinced I was destined for something big, but never truly committed. I'd start a project, a blog about urban gardening, a coding course promising quick mastery, a design portfolio for clients I didn't have with huge enthusiasm, work on it for a week or two, then get distracted, overwhelmed, or hit a small roadblock and abandon it. My apartment was a testament to these abandoned dreams. Half-finished canvases leaned against the wall, a guitar gathered dust, a stack of untouched language textbooks sat on my bedside table. /n/n, the weakness wasn't a lack of talent. It was a profound fear of not being good enough, masked by a desire for instant gratification. I wanted the outcome without the process. I lived month to month, relying on credit cards to bridge the gaps, always convincing myself next month would be different. My diet was terrible, fueled by cheap takeout, and my relationships often felt superficial, built on a shaky foundation of what-ifs and unfulfilled potential. I felt like a fraud, constantly performing a version of myself that was successful and pudged, though terrified someone would see the chaos beneath. The deep shame of not living up to my own potential weighed me down like an anchor, pulling me deeper into inaction. Every morning felt like another chance I would waste, another day I'd start with grand plans and end with Netflix and regret. I was an expert at starting, but a complete novice at finishing. /n/n, that eviction notice was the rock bottom I needed. Huddled on my couch, the cheap pizza box long empty, a greasy stain on the cushion, I promised myself one thing: I would stop quitting. Not that I'd succeed immediately, or that every attempt would be perfect, but that I'd never intentionally quit again. The goal became consistency, not perfection. I looked around my cluttered apartment, at the physical manifestations of all my unfinished attempts, and decided to pick just one thing. I chose learning basic web development. My initial commitment was laughably small: 30 minutes every single day, no matter what. If I was tired, I'd still sit down. If I felt stupid, I'd still open the tutorial. If I had a better idea for another project, I'd save it for later and stick to my 30 minutes of code. The rule was simple, brutal, and non-negotiable. /n/n, those first few weeks were a brutal battle against myself. My brain screamed for distraction. I'd stare at the code on my old laptop, feel completely lost in the jargon, and want nothing more than to just scroll through social media or watch another mindless show. Sometimes, my 30 minutes was literally just staring at a tutorial video, absorbing nothing, feeling my eyes glaze over. Other times, I'd type one line of code that barely worked, or I'd spend 20 minutes debugging a single typo. I missed days, sometimes 2 in a row, then felt awful, that familiar shame creeping back in. But crucially, I remembered my promise: /just don't quit. I just started again the next day, no matter how much resistance I felt. I started waking up 45 minutes earlier, just to get that precious 30 minutes in before my brain was fully awake to argue. My cheap coffee machine became my morning companion. I'd hear my neighbors getting ready for their predictable lives, while I fumbled with HTML tags and tried to understand CSS. There were nights I cried out of sheer frustration, feeling utterly inadequate, questioning if I was smart enough for this, if I'd made the right choice. My credit card debt continued to climb, adding pressure. /n/n, but then, one tiny win. After days of trying, I made a simple button appear on a blank web page. It was ugly, awkwardly placed, but it was my ugly button. Then I spent a week figuring out how to make it change color when I hovered over it. Then I learned how to move it to the center of the page. Each tiny victory, each moment of a function actually working, was a spark, keeping the ember of hope alive. I started taking on tiny, unpaid projects for friends just to practice. A simple landing page for my friend's band, a basic portfolio for a college acquaintance. I stayed up late, not for entertainment, but for an extra hour of practice, driven by that quiet spark. I learned to love the process more than the outcome. Failure became less about I'm a failure and more about this approach failed, try another. The grind wasn't glamorous. It was just showing up day after day through boredom, frustration, and self-doubt. It was choosing the effort over the easy way out. It was realizing that even when I felt like I was crawling, I was still moving forward. /N/N, after about 8 months of this relentless, often uninspired consistency, something truly shifted. I wasn't just copying code anymore, I was understanding it. I could troubleshoot errors faster. My brain started making connections. People started asking me for help with their simple websites. I realized I had developed a genuinely valuable skill. My first paying client came through a referral, a small local bakery, needing a simple online menu and contact form. I charged a modest fee, maybe $200, but it felt like $1 million. I poured everything into that first project, staying up late, ensuring every detail was perfect, delivering something I was incredibly proud of. That check, the first real money I'd earned from my own consistent, painstaking effort, wasn't just payment, it was validation. It proved that showing up day after day, even when it's hard and you feel like you're getting nowhere, does lead somewhere. /N/N, the chaos in my life slowly receded. My apartment became cleaner, less of a monument to unfinished dreams. I started eating better, taking care of myself. I wasn't just building websites, I was building a new foundation for myself, brick by brick. The biggest breakthrough wasn't financial, though the stability was a huge relief. It was realizing my own capability, the quiet, undeniable power of simply sticking with it. I found a deep sense of self-respect that had been missing my entire adult life. That quiet confidence allowed me to apply for, and eventually get, a full-time junior developer position, something I never imagined possible just a year prior. It was never about a flash of genius. It was about the slow, steady accumulation of tiny efforts. /N/N, the one principle I learned, the one I desperately want you to remember, is this: consistency trumps intensity. You don't need grand gestures or overnight success. You don't need to be perfect every single day. You need to show up every single day for that one small thing you want to change or build. Even 5 minutes, even just showing up to think about it, to open the book, to put on your running shoes. The compound effect of these small, consistent actions is unimaginable. It's like a tiny snowball rolling down a hill, picking up speed and size without you even realizing it until it's massive. Don't worry about the finish line, just focus on taking the next small step and then the next. Trust the process, even when you can't see the progress. Your brain will try to convince you it's not worth it, that you're not good enough, but you just keep showing up. /N/N, my life today is unrecognizable from that bleak day with the eviction notice. I'm not a millionaire, and I still have bad days, but I have stability, purpose, and most importantly, a deep, earned self-respect. I built it piece by small piece through the simple, unwavering power of not quitting. If I, a perpetual quitter, could learn to stick with it and change my entire trajectory, then so can you. Whatever you're facing right now, whatever dream feels too big or too far away, start small. Don't chase perfection, chase presence. Show up for yourself. Take that tiny, almost insignificant step today. Your future self will thank you for it profoundly. Today, choose one small step. Research a skill you want to learn for 10 minutes, or clear one corner of your desk, or drink one extra glass of water. Sessioned C7E3, F2B1, A6D54, E900, 9B2C1D0, E8, F7A6B5C.